we'll see, man. Let's get into this game. This game number 2 here. Ooh, Grim Reaper Karthus. Nice to see.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that teleport is great in these organized team games. It gives you all that mobility. The one downside is without exhaust on Karthus, that means that Paradoxical can very easily kill Mandatory Cloud in a straight-up 1v1 because he has the Ignite, and Karthus does not have his traditional exhaust. So in a straight-up 1v1, Paradoxical can very easily kill Mandatory Cloud. So that's the advantage is he's got great mobility. He can move around the map, but he's not nearly going to be as strong in straight 1v1.
Yeah, and obviously with somebody as aggressive as Team Dynamic tends to be, especially Paradoxical on Casseopeia, if he gets blue, he's gonna really be able to be extremely aggressive. It's gonna very much be on Man Cloud, especially when you've got Olaf coming out of the jungle. If he lands one of those axes on you and gets into good range, he can find himself in trouble very, very quickly. Looks like mTw choosing possibly to group up this time. And anytime you've got Leona on your team, it's always a fun time to group up. Sending Sivir down bottom, but they're going to have 4 up top. Are they going to go in, or is he just running interference here? Yeah, they're going to run interference. Sivir just hanging out on that tri-bush down bottom.
I do like that Aftermoon has the Pack Sivir skin. That's a really neat skin, the Tron Sivir one, that we don't see that often. But anyway, probably don't want to have the level 1 fight on mTw just because they are so split. They're probably not looking to do that right now. We will see. I don't see a huge advantage for either side. Neither team has a particularly awesome level 1 fight here. A Mandatory Cloud's actually taking a little bit of harass here. He's probably going to have to go back to base to heal that up. Oh, he actually might have a fight here. Keep an eye on this.
Almost managed to finish up the ward, but couldn't do it. Smithy going to take some damage, which may hurt his jungle just a little bit early on, as minions are coming out in 3 seconds. That means the wolves are going to be up as well. Is he going to take the time to back? No, he's not. Just going to head over into the jungle with that lower health. Hopefully that doesn't slow him down, because getting your jungle thrown off can be a scary, scary thing indeed. But with Zion Spartan getting the best of that, they're making a look at coming into the jungle early on. Smithy working on these wolves, doesn't have any support yet. Mandatory Cloud coming down, Yorick on his way back as well. And now a whole lot of Team Dynamic hanging out in the jungle, and this could get ugly very quickly. Smithy's set up on Dadlana, going to land the axe, get him slowed down. The W comes out, but Smithy going to be first blood over to Lee Sin before things even get underway. 2 minutes ticked off the clock, and that's first blood. Nicely done there by Team Dynamic to make that read. They got him low enough, and he didn't go back to base. A bet to hedge for sure, and that paid off nicely.
Right. And the other thing is, because people on mTw took that damage and headed back to base, that meant that they weren't able to watch the entry paths. There was no one standing in place to watch and see if anyone came in and invaded. So that allowed Dynamic to come in there with 4 members of their team and pick that up. Really, really well played by Dynamic. And now Atlantis got the blue buff, and he's actually going to head mid. Let's see if he's able to pick this up.
Really quick, he comes in with the ghost. The Q lands. Mandatory Cloud just going to try to teleport out. He doesn't even have time for it. Gets shut down very, very quickly there. And that's 2 kills inside of 3 minutes for Team Dynamic. Somebody stopped Atlanta, man. He's hurting people's feelings over on mTw&A, and that's a 1K gold lead before 3 minutes.
Wow, what a dream start for Dynamic in this match. They've already gotten a kill on the jungler, stole the blue buff, and gotten a kill on the mid laner right there. What a great start. Not entirely sure about that teleport. That does work on Anivia sometimes. I'm not sure it necessarily works on Karthus. The one thing that Mandatory Cloud, he could have potentially saved the teleport, and then as soon as he revived, gotten right back to mid. It looks like he was there in time to get this wave, though, so not a big deal. But he might have been able to get back to lane a little bit faster. Still, not a big deal. Let's keep an eye on what Atlanta chooses to do, because he's got this huge lead early on. He's gotten both blue buffs. He's going to presumably be grabbing his red, so he's going to be really strong right here early on. And we'll see if he's able to pull off any more ganks. He did use up his ghost in that last fight. But, I mean, he's just really been wrecking havoc so far on this match. As you said, he's gotten 1 kill, gotten the assist. Casseopeia in mid gotten 2 assists, so in nice shape. Already has a Doran's ring, and that's going to be very difficult for Karthus. Already down a Doran's ring, basically before the match even starts.
Yeah, and Zion Spartan just playing straight into balls, Lee Sin allowing him to play as aggressive as he likes, and really getting the better of it for the time being. If balls manages to scale out of it, that might change up just a little bit. But at the moment, he's getting forced back to tower and forced to farm underneath it. Muffin Cutie going to come back out and just let that W pop, soften up the minions, push things into the tower, and nothing going to start up just yet, as Zig playing nice and cautious right there. Gets a good chunk of damage put into Afro move with the buckshot, and they come around into the gank push.
Yeah, let's see what ends up happening right here. Not too much. Looks like everybody's just farming the lanes at the moment. A couple people have gone back to base, trying to recall. And yeah, Mandatory Cloud is having to play very cautiously in mid as Karthus, just because, again, he is at the disadvantage. It's about the only thing I've seen thus far. Bottom lane, Sivir is actually ahead, not by a huge amount, but slightly ahead thus far. So looks like that Sivir-Leona pairing is working out decently thus far, even though, of course, they have only just started. But minor advantage so far for Aphromoo. Looks like he's making Sivir work thus far.
Yeah, you can say that up against Graves, he's not having too many range woes, and able to play back with that Q and the ricochet is really allowing him to farm, and it's letting that Muffin Cutie roam happen, which is one of those things that we started to see just recently out of Muffin Cutie. He heads up mid, and he'll just get himself around the map a little bit earlier on in the game, which can be really, really quite effective. Olaf running into Shyvana in the jungle, Paradoxical a little bit north of where he'd like to be as far as the mid lane goes, but Shyvana not going to capitalize on it. And still a 1k gold lead. Team Dynamic out to that super, super early and able to capitalize on it, as well as the Madrid's Razors. That's what it is, not Blood Razors. I always want to say Blood Razors, but the Madrid Razors down. He lands on Zig, but his dash allows him to get clear into turret range. Muffin Cutie forced back into the bushes.
Yeah, I'm surprised at how well Aphromoo and Muffin Cutie are doing down here. They're actually denying quite a few minions to Zig. He's actually fallen a good ways behind right now. He's 10 CS behind, and that's a lot for this early in the game. He's actually being zoned away from the minion line half the time right now. He's afraid to come out because of that Leona initiation. So doing a really good job, especially with the Leona play from Muffin Cutie, just keeping Zig off of these minions and just having to play a little bit scared down here. So that's really well done that far. Pixel has had some really nice Janna tornadoes as well. Need to give credit for that. Has really helped save Zig, and wow, Zig eats both ends of a boomerang blade there, taking a lot of damage. So the one place where things are going well right now for mTw is in that bottom lane, where they're actually winning that pretty handily right now.
Yeah, with Aphromoo playing off to the side, no minions in the way to eat up damage off of that boomerang blade. It really is putting some good hurt down onto Zig, which it's actually a nice way. This combination is looking actually like a pretty nice way. Muffin Cutie kind of keeping him to the far side near his turret, and Aphromoo taking full advantage of it. Very smart way to play that combination.
Big fight in top.
Ball's in trouble. The Ignite's ticking. He misses his Q, but he can't get away from Zion Spartan. Ult comes out. They got the shield, and it's enough. Zion Spartan makes it through. Not even going to leave the lane, just going to keep on farming. Shyvana's far enough away that he should be able to get out of this safely.
Yeah, it was nicely played. The two of them were just standing there exchanging blows, and then Zion Spartan started to get out a little bit ahead in that particular fight. Ball's turned to run, but it was a little bit too late. With a big-time dive in mid, but Mandatory Cloud flashes at the perfect time to dodge Casseopeia ult. Going to make it out of there, although Atlanta's now here as well.
Lee Sin going to try and come in from the other side and help out. Smithy coming through, got Paradoxical in to join, dodges the Q very nicely, but now is in a 3v1. Not going to get clear of that one at all. Atlanta manages to finish it up, just getting out of turret range in time to keep himself alive, and Paradoxical not even having to head home after that one. 4-0 lead, 2k gold, 7 minutes 45 seconds off the clock. Muffin Cutie pops a W, E across, beautifully ranged out through those rocks, and some time ago that wouldn't have actually landed, but really nicely done there by Muffin Cutie to just chunk off nearly half of Zig's health.
Right, it's a good thing for mTw that they're doing so well in bottom lane, because they're really doing poorly elsewhere. They're getting out jungled, and their mid is in all kinds of trouble right now. In mid right now, Karthus is just really getting zoned off the minion line every time that Casseopeia comes forward. Zig is just running for his life every time he goes in to kill a minion. So that's really the lane that's giving mTw hope right now, is that bottom lane. It's the one place where they're doing well. Karthus in mid actually had to use his teleport back to middle tower just to avoid losing a full wave of creeps. So far, his two teleports have really done nothing for him, unfortunately. He has not gotten anything out of that yet. He may later on, but so far it certainly has not been the most useful summoner pick, and that is a very long cooldown. So hopefully he'll be able to make a play when it comes back off of cooldown in about 4 minutes or so. But right now, Casseopeia is really exerting dominance in mid, just as Sivir is exerting dominance in bottom. So pretty good matchup thus far. Dynamic does have the early lead, and it looks like they're going to try to snowball this with an early dragon.
Muffin Cutie going to try and keep Zig from heading over to join everybody else. Zig just going to turn and fight it. Dragon under attack, and with Muffin Cutie the only one spotting, and Shyvana not in the area, that's a free dragon over to Team Dynamic. Going to push that lead out into really starting to get uncomfortable territory. 2,500 gold inside of 10 minutes. Again, and that global gold going to help bottom make up for their shortcomings just a little bit. It's, yeah, only about a 300 gold difference now after that dragon pickup. Going to get back into good shape there, 190 gold.
That's the perfect way to cash in their advantage from thus far. They're ahead in mid, their jungler's ahead. What do? Well, they force a dragon, and they're able to go ahead and take that, and that is able to snowball their advantage further. They were so confident, dynamic-wise, they didn't even have to send Zion Spartan. If you notice, he just stayed up in top. He made no attempt to leave the lane. They were that confident that they could pick up the dragon that they didn't have to make any move away from top lane. And Zion Spartan's actually, we haven't talked too much about top. Zion Spartan's actually quite a bit ahead in top lane as well. He's actually zoning balls off the minion line. And if Yorick is getting beaten in lane, that is a bad sign if Yorick is losing in lane, because that is where he is at his strongest. And he's really not doing a whole lot right now. He's got his tier, but he's not doing a whole lot. And if he comes down to a 1v1 against Lee Sin, he's going to lose it quite badly.
Paradoxical over to steal some Wraiths. He's going to try and get clear as Smithy comes out with the W, lands the ult onto Man Cloud, and no, he's not going to get free of that at all. But he does have his ult, and with Smithy in there, Paradoxical going to get taken out. Dadlana in just a little too late to save one of the baby cubs in mid lane, but with Zion Spartan coming down, they might try to capitalize on this anyway. Are they going to give it up? Dadlana pushing the lane, and Smithy going to head back into the jungle and just let it be? Is he going to come back out? He does finally head out, but it's a little too late. They go ahead and disengage.
Yeah, nicely played on both sides. Good job by Paradoxical to pick up the kill, even though it was a gank coming in. He's able to go 1-for-1. At the same time, Mandatory Cloud made sure he did enough damage so that he was able to pick up that kill with his ultimate. And X50 in there to try to help out his middle laner. So some nice play on both sides to turn that into a 1v1. Zion Spartan tried to come down from top lane, but he wasn't able to get there in time to do anything, unfortunately for him. So 1-for-1 exchange.
TD finally going to get some quality time with the lane as Afromood takes a little powder back at base to freshen up his sweet, sweet hairdo on that Pack Silver skin. Looking nice. Going to push things into the tower and just going to go into the casual farming under tower. Afromood making it look easy under there. And that's going to reset the lane, send everybody back out. Actually, it's a little less than a reset. They had one left there. Afromood taking his time on that last minion kill, so they get a little bit forward of center, which is exactly where you want it when Leona's on lane.
Yeah, one thing, Afromood did pick up a BF sword when he went back to buy, so that is a lot of damage. Even have Berserker Greaves, he just has the BF sword and Vampiric Scepter, so he's likely going for Bloodthirster first build. So just got a lot of damage right now. He actually has quite a bit more damage. He has 147 AD to Zig's 114, so that's quite a bit of damage, and that means that those Boomerang Blades are going to hurt quite a bit. So looks like Afromood is planning on continuing to be very aggressive down there in bottom lane. And if it comes into a straight-up fight, I'm not sure I like the chances of Dynamic winning that, just because there's so much more AD on Sivir right now than on Graves.
Dadlana missing a chance at a shot at Mandatory Cloud right there as Paradoxical has the lane pushed up. Going to head on back over into his jungle. And really, that is the story of the game so far. Everybody else having a fantastic game, but bot lane Zig and Pixel just not able to get in there as the threat of a Muffin Cutie Leona with an Afro Moose Sivir is just a little bit too scary, especially if you get caught out in the open. That Boomerang Blade is going to hurt pretty bad. Mid lane, Atlanta coming in, Mandatory Cloud on his way back, 2 towers deep, and he's going to get clear with a nicely timed flash.
Yeah, it's a nice flash. Flash for Ghost right there, Atlanta Burning Ghost. If Mandatory Cloud doesn't flash out of that, if he gets slowed by the red buff, he's complete curtains for him right there. And actually, they're sticking around with it. They still want this kill. They're still sticking around in the area. See if they're going to still go for this. It looks like they are.
Nice kick there. Gets Mandatory Cloud into a bad spot. Is anyone going to run low enough for that ult to come out? Zion Spartan runs pretty low. Is he going to try his luck? No. Just going to leave the ult. His ult's not back up, actually.
No,
still on cooldown.
The Karthus nerfs. That ult's on a forever cooldown now. It wouldn't have been enough to get the kill anyway, I think.
Yeah, no, it was a bit low, but... oh, Pixel getting hit... at the very, very edge of that Boomerang Blade. Wow. Gets down to about half health.
It took the double hit from the Boomerang Blade. He lost almost half his health from the double Boomerang Blade hit. So yeah, you see just how much damage Afromood's doing with that Boomerang Blade of his, with the early BF sword. Muffin Cutie just missing the Leona ult. He got the slow, but not the stun. If he had hit the stun, it would have been an easy kill.
Oh, here comes Dadlana Paradoxical over to get that blue steal, and Smithy might run into a little bit of danger here. Can he come over to the other side of this? They called balls down, but with Zion Spartan right there and a good ult onto both, Smithy going to be able to get clear. No, he's not. No, I'm sorry. Casseopeia, I read that backwards. No, that's his ghost. Okay, I didn't read it backwards.
That's the zombie.
That Yorick ghost breaks my brain every single time. Zig in trouble down bottom. ult out, not enough to take out Zig, but Afromu going to pop the ult. They're going to chase him down, and with the nice lead for Zig, can they get him? Doesn't even try the boomerang blade at the edge of it to pick it up. Just going to clean up those minions on the other side of the tower. I swear that thing breaks my brain.
So action on two sides of the map right there. Just a typical thing that what you do, you get ahead in top, you get ahead in mid. What do? You invade and you go steal their blue buff. There's the action still going on in bottom lane though. Keep an eye on this before we do anything. Yeah, Muffin's very low. Is Atlanta going to chase this down? Going to pop the ult. Oh, Muffin is so low, but it looks like he's going to make it out of there okay with 50 HP. But yeah, just to get back to that earlier point again, you're ahead mid, you're ahead in top, you're ahead jungle. What do? You go in and you keep trying to steal their blue buff to try to put them further behind. Dragon is also respawned. We'll see if either team makes a play for it. But nicely done. They just jumped on Xmithy and the Ignite finished him off there at the tail end of that. And then in bottom lane, a nice escape by Zig. He used his flash. No, he didn't use his flash. He was still off cooldown, but he used his quick draw to get out of there. Sivir ult, not quite enough movement speed, and now Dynamics making a move to go for this dragon. It just feels like they've been in control of really been in control of this game ever since that initial play at level 1 where they went in and stole the blue buff. Just really been in control of the global stuff throughout this game. Everywhere except that bottom lane. The bottom lane, the only thing that's giving mTw hope in this match, because they're just getting really badly outplayed. Well, maybe not necessarily outplayed, but just out-snowballed everywhere else on the map right now.
Yeah, it's actually still within about a 200 gold down bot lane, even though there's a nice little lead. Those two dragon pickups have really made sure to keep Graves in this thing. So Afromu not going to get himself any sort of ridiculous lead. And the fact that there haven't been any actual kills down bottom, it's been great for the farming. The fact there haven't been any kills means that Leona is going to have a very, very long build-up to get herself into a good place for tanking later in the game, especially with how well top and mid lane are going, because Lee Sin and Olaf both going to be able to go in there pretty much whenever they want. And you really do need Leona and Shyvana both to be in good shape to just be able to sort of counter-initiate that way, or at least hold them off.
That's a great point, Wombat. The fact that even though Afromu and Muffin Cutie have had so much lane control, the fact that they haven't been able to get any kills out of it really does mean that Zig and Pixel have been doing a great job in this lane. They don't need to win this lane because their team's doing so well elsewhere. They just need to avoid dying right now. And there's actually a Casseopeia gank coming in behind right now, so we'll see how this goes. But this could be really, really bad for mTw.
Yeah, Afromu was well out of position on that one, so Muffin Cutie goes low with no joy. Teleport in for Mandatory Cloud, but Zion Spartan's there. They get Sivir off the field immediately. Man Cloud into the turret to give Casseopeia credit. Muffin Cutie down to like 3 health.
He was on 7. I saw 7 before he went. I saw 7.
That was insanely low. Couldn't manage to finish it up as Shyvana comes in to run interference, but just nothing but happiness right there for TD as they take that one down with no trouble whatsoever.
That Karthus teleport. I mean, we talked about the teleport before the match. It can be a tremendous summoner, but it just hasn't worked in this game. That teleport, Mandatory Cloud trying to come into the fight, he immediately gets Lee Sin kicked back into the tower and just melts instantly. Just really unfortunate timing there. It did not work, horribly backfired, and now Dynamics got just a dominating lead, 7,000 gold right now. So at this point, it's their game to lose. We'll see what they choose to do from here, but now they got bottom turret, they're snowballing even further ahead. They're going to have to make some mistakes to let mTw back into the match at this point.
Yeah, 7,000 gold now, almost 8,000 gold actually in under 20 minutes. 18 minutes ticked off the clock, and there's still time for him to push him out as both mid outer and bottom outer are done. 2 towers to none, a nice little lead, and every single dragon in their favor. Just really good coordination by TD here. Not sure if there's been a change in the shot calling over there, but they're looking really good as far as teamwork goes. And mTw, who just got second place at the TSM Invitational this past weekend, you know, just getting handled here pretty much.
Well, we said that they did something a little bit unorthodox with the way that they did their picks here, and sometimes that means that you discover something people aren't used to, and you have a great match. Sometimes it means that it just doesn't quite work out the way you're hoping. And it looks like in this match, it might be the latter, that things aren't working quite the way that they expected. Now, they did just get bottom turret there, so that'll give them a little bit of extra gold, that much-needed gold. So again, they're really going to need to lean heavily on Afromu here, because he is the strongest one on their team by a pretty good margin. Karthus has only got his Rod of Ages. Yorick doesn't really have that much. He didn't go for Mount Immune, and now they're actually popping Sivir ult just to run away. Let's see if Paradoxical can pull this off.
They've got Muffin Cutie caught out. The ult's going to hold Paradoxical in place. Paradoxical not going to give up the chase, though. Muffin Cutie going low, and that ult pretty much does the work. A little bit of heal on a Paradoxical is going to buy him the time he needs. Afromoo continuing the chase, though. They get the slow down and turn around on Afromoo. Paradoxical lives. Sivir dies. Mandatory Cloud's ult is gone. Zig now caught out. His dad Lana's a little too late to the fight. Smithy chases down Casseopeia for a double kill, and leave Pixel and Dad Lana wondering which way to run. They're just going to clean the minions up and say, cut our losses on that one, and we'll just stick with our 7k gold lead and be fine with it.
It turns into a 2 for 2. Pretty well fought, I thought, by mTw there at the end. It looked like it was going to be a crushing victory for Dynamic. They're able to turn it into a 2 for 2 with Smithy picking up that double kill. Right now, Paradox was just dishing out so much damage. He's got the death cap. He's got the Hextech Revolver for some sustain, but just the Casseopeia ult and his Twin Fangs are just ripping through mTw right now. They really don't have any magic resist, just a null magic right now on Shyvana, but without that MR, they're just getting torn to pieces by Casseopeia, so they're going to need to do something about that. And we now have another fight over at the blue buff.
Zion Spartan in, he's just going to stand his ground on this one. His dad Lana joins the fight. Pixel in, his Muffin Cutie joins. Looks like Zion Spartan's gotten clear. Lana gets out, and they're going to continue the chase for the moment, but it looks like TD's clear without any deaths there. Pixel managed to get out the other way before Afromoo showed up and turned that one into a complete rout.
Smithy ended up getting the blue buff. They don't... mTw doesn't really want it on Shyvana, but had to smite it, otherwise it would have been stolen. So that's kind of a win for Dynamic, just because they were able to keep the blue from going on to Karthus. The fact that it's on Shyvana means it's sort of a little win for both teams. mTw does save their blue, but it ends up going on a champ they don't really want it on, whereas Casseopeia now has the blue for Dynamic. So again, Karthus really has not been able to get his own blue buff, and that's one of the reasons why he's just been getting bullied around so badly in mid.
Wow, I got up there just a little too late. Ball's taken out under his own tower as Zion Spartan just goes straight at him. Now Muffin Cutie and Afromoo on the way in, and they've got vision of him as those minions are just hanging out. Zion Spartan going to be able to jump over to his own ward and get clear. Casseopeia and Graves in hot pursuit. So this may turn into sort of a semi-bait there. He runs into the wall. So Karthus going to get the kill rather than an execution there. Team Dynamic just going to have to head back mid. It's Zion Spartan just overstays his welcome a bit. Still in good shape though.
There wasn't a whole lot of places he could run to there, unfortunately. His avenues of retreat were cut off pretty badly right there. And it looks like Afromoo and Muffin Cutie are going to push on that top tower, but meanwhile the rest of Dynamic is pushing up mid, and this could turn out pretty bad for mTw because they don't want to trade that top outer tower for a second level mid tower.
Yeah, now Mandatory Cloud taking some damage, just going to go straight on him as Paradoxical forfeiting his life more or less. Shyvana going to get the kill, but Cass going to get some money in light of it, and keeping Karthus shut down early and often is a great way to make sure that he just is rendered ineffective later in the game, and that's something they've definitely been doing. He's 2-5-3, 2 towers traded for that inner tower, so top inner gets picked up. Not a bad way to end up for mTw&A, but not everything that they need. They've still got some work to do here.
So that was great for mTw. They got 2 towers in top, and they didn't even give up that mid tower. It's actually still up with up with a little over 300 health. So they came out way ahead on that. Looked like Paradoxical maybe a little bit too aggressive there. He dove way past the tower to get Mandatory Cloud. He did pick up the kill, but they didn't get the tower out of it. If he had been a little bit less aggressive, they could have just taken that tower and not had a death on either side. Would have been a better outcome for them. So overall, mTw, they needed that gold very badly from getting the 2 top towers. So they're actually ahead in towers now, 3-2. Although it looks like they might be losing this top tower soon. Zion Spartan's back up there. But still, that's the kind of thing that mTw needs, just to get little advantages like that to give them some more gold, just because they're hurting for gold so badly here. And that global gold does go to everybody, so to go on to champs who need it really badly.
Zion Spartan, Muffin Cutie going to dance around a little bit, just going to disengage that one, head into the tribe brush. He does have friends in the area, but there's good ward coverage out of mTw&A on the top side of this river, so everybody pretty much accounted for.
And one other thing that we saw in the first game too, Wombat, is if you notice Dynamic has gotten an early Oracle in both games. mTw hasn't. Once again, same thing. Oracle on Olaf. He's got the Oracle for Dynamic. Nobody with an Oracle on mTw. And again, once we start doing this Baron dance, it's a really big deal if one team has vision and the other team doesn't have vision. So yeah. Advantage Dynamic right now. Yeah,
and especially with it sitting on Dad Lana, they're just going to go over here and start it up. 23:50 on the clock as they started. mTw&A coming in. Can they get it done? They're just going to initiate straight onto it. Pixel blown up early. Zion Spartan going down. Out goes Mandatory Cloud. Atlanta's lost out of the fight. Paradoxical running low as he gets blown up by Afro Moves. Finally starting to come alive. Goes to Mandatory Cloud. Finally goes down. Zig gets clear, but that one goes 3 for 1, I believe, overall. No, they got Man Cloud. Right? Yeah.
Yeah, 3 for 2. But a great fight for mTw. They used the Karthus teleport to come in from one side, the rest of the team come in from the other side, and they really just pincered everybody on dynamic in between those two sides. Zion Spartan may well die here. Right now we just saw Zig get taken out, and Zion Spartan is running away, so this could very easily turn into a Baron for mTw and put them right back in this match again.
They're going to start it up, and oh, Muffin Cutie's out of that one super quick. Ball's going to have to hope he can hang on long enough to pick up Baron. Afromu is certainly putting the damage down in a very, very convincing manner. And Zion Spartan in there, if there were ever a chance to finish it, they didn't. They picked up the ward. He's not going to have any vision in there. Zion Spartan comes around. Afromu just going to start up on him immediately. Pixel's in there. Double buff on Afromu is a terrifying thing at the moment. They come back over to try to get back to work on Baron, but with balls running too low and Smithy coming in a little too late, they can't finish it up. A nice attempt there, but now Pixel out of position, forced to flash out. He does get clear. Zion Spartan a little too low to fight this, however, and with Zig on the way back, looks like it might just turn into TD trying to zone out mTw, who almost back to full strength. They got Yorick back up. And yeah, it's going to be a little dance around Baron now.
Still, what a great job by Zion Spartan, just running interference, preventing mTw from getting a free Baron right there. I'm not sure if mTw had quite enough health. I'm not sure if they would have been able to get it, but he made sure that they weren't able to take that one. And mTw really, really needs that Baron, just because it will pull them equal in this match. The fact that they weren't able to get it means that even though Dynamic really got crushed in that last team fight, they didn't suffer too big of a loss. It ended up being, what, I think a 2 for 4 from their perspective. In the end, I mean, that's bad, but at least it wasn't a 2 for 4 and Baron lost. So yeah. That means that even though they lost that fight, it wasn't a huge deal. It just puts them, it puts mTw a little bit back in the match, but not nearly to the extent that a Baron would have been. So that Baron is still sitting there, still waiting for the teams to contest over it. And that's still going to be the objection of both sides. So anyway, do see top tower going down. And that mid tower is still quite low for mTw, so we'll see if Dynamic chooses to push on it, or if they're going to return their attention back to the Baron pit once more.
They are headed over that way. Balls is pretty much out by himself. TD setting up in the area. There is a ward inside of Baron, so they're going to know that that's there. mTw, Shyvana specifically, making herself known to Dad Lanny. He's going to come in, check the wards. There is one there. They clear it out, and somebody shot Baron. Zig, what are you doing, buddy? Putting a shot onto Baron just to let him know who's the boss, and Atlanta going to have to run clear. Smithy hanging out in this bush, drops the E out, and Zion Spartan in onto Mandatory Cloud. He hits the wall and still hanging out by a distracting Mandatory Cloud while Muffin Cutie gets chewed up by Paradoxicals. Twin Fangs goes very low. Bad ult out of Muffin Cutie, going to take that out of contention. A very nice ult out of Pixels. Sonya's going down on Mandatory Cloud. Smithy chasing Atlanta out. Pixel trying to help all that he can. They get Karthus off the field. The ult's going to come out. That's going to get rid of Atlanta. Now 2 for 1 with Paradoxical very, very low. Balls goes down. Zig doing everything he can, but doesn't have enough with Afro Moose standing there. 3 for 2 now, and they're going to turn their attention to mid-outer as they don't have quite enough to make a move on Baron this time. Paradoxical and Pixel going to head back and get themselves healed up as mid comes under attack from mTw.
Yeah, you'd think that Dynamic would have done a little bit better in that fight, seeing as how the Leona ult really just whiffed completely in that battle. But a great use of Zanya's Hourglass in that fight from Mandatory Cloud. Was able to look like he was going to get blown up instantly, but he used his Zanya's. Then he, even after he died, his ult just put out a really, really great amount of damage in that fight. So mTw narrowly winning that fight. They've actually come out ahead in the last 2 team fights. So Dynamic's got to be a little bit worried right now because they've lost both of the team fights that we've seen right now. And Baron is still sitting out there for either side to get, so they're going to have to fight this a little bit better. Need to do a better job of trying to keep Casseopeia and keeping Graves alive in these fights. They were able to do a decent job in that fight, but Paradoxical did go down a little bit sooner than they would have liked. So again, it's just about protecting those key damage dealers on both teams right now. Whoever's able to do that better, likely going to be able to come out on top in these fights. And again, the one advantage of Karthus is, I mean, you can put him in that zombie mode right now with Yorick, and even after he dies, he's going to keep dealing damage. So even though he's been shut down during this game, I mean, now he's got the Hourglass, he's got the Rod of Ages, he's got a needlessly large rod. So it's a lot of AP right now, and Mandatory Cloud's only going to keep getting stronger as this game goes on. So felt like that was kind of the difference in that last team fight, in what was a really close fight for both teams.
Yeah, they've slowly pulled it back. They've gotten 3,000 gold back in their direction. Dragon's up, Baron's up, so 2 secondary objectives to take a look at, but everybody going to be very wary about decision-making here, because if you make a move at Dragon, they may just head over, start up Baron. Aphromoo trying to get those wards taken out. He's going to have the time now. Gets the ward taken out as Team Dynamic just starting to push the wave down mid. Zion Spartan coming around. A little bit of a dangerous look here. Smithy's over in the area. They're looking at Baron. Are they going to start it up? Knowing that Graves isn't quite in the area, looks like everybody's just going to disengage.
That was a real dangerous moment for Dynamic, because Zig was down in bottom lane clearing that wave. It could have been a moment where mTw forced a Baron fight. They chose not to go for it. It would have been risky, but they could have forced it. Would have been 5v4, chose not to. Both teams do have oracles right now. They've actually lost two oracles for Dynamic, both times that Olaf has died, but they now have another one on Janna. Meanwhile, first oracle of the game that I've seen picked up by mTw on Muffin Cutie's Leona. So both sides are going to be clearing out wards around the Baron pit. And Dragon's actually up as well. It's just everybody's focus right now has been on Baron. So we'll see if one team decides to rotate over there and pick that up.
Yeah, it really has been all about Baron. Everybody just kind of like, yeah, Dragon's up, but it's too dangerous. I mean, you see Zig heading down bottom just to clear a lane and then starting back immediately, and mTw starts fainting at a Baron pickup. So if you try to spend the amount of time and the manpower that you're going to need to pick up Dragon, it's almost a guarantee that if they get a read on that, they're going to head over there. All the ward coverage right now in the area of Baron.
Karthus has his teleport up, so he's split pushing right now, and Dynamic's going to have to force a fight. It's actually the opposite of what we saw last game, where Dynamic was split pushing. But Karthus is going to just split, and Dynamic's going to have to force a fight, so they're going to have to force Karthus to come in, and that's what they're going to do right now at Baron. So expect to teleport in right now.
And Muffin Cutie leading out, misses with the ult for the most part there, gets the slow onto a couple people. In comes Shyvana, but Leona is blown up a little too quick. Mandatory Cloud in the fight now, going low quick. Pixel manages to get clear. His ghost is up, but Shyvana's out of the fight, and not a decisive win so far, as they managed to pick up a double kill over on the edge. Atlanta doesn't get clear of Balls. Balls on the way out. Is he going to be able to get free? Zig chasing hard. Pixel going to get taken out by that. He's the only one as Zion Spartan manages to make it through. And looks like they're deciding that this is enough to have a go at Baron. Zion Spartan just going to keep himself alive. That shield, a little bit of life steal, and hope for the best there. Zig for swapping spots there, tanking out. They picked up Balls. I was so focused on the Baron, I did not even look at the mini-map on that one. I feel bad. Baron pickup.
Casseopeia Q, and then the poison finished him off, the damage over time right there. So yeah, they able to pick off that, able to go 5 for 2 in the team fight, yeah, and then pick up Baron. So big time advantage for Dynamic right there. Again, it looked like a pretty good fight for mTw. It's really hard to see quite what's going on there. Just everybody's grouped up in a big packed mass, just kind of shooting away at each other. But one thing that did happen there was Dignitas was able to, or no, excuse me, not Dignitas, Dynamic was able to blow up Leona immediately at the start of the fight. I did not see the Leona ult come out at any point in time, and when it's this close, not having an ult like that in the fight, the potential to stun everybody in the enemy team, that can make the difference. So I'm sure there was more to it than that, but that's about the biggest thing I saw in that fight. So really big win for Dynamic there. Looks like they're going to pick up their own blue buff for Cassiopeia and then grab Dragon, and we'll look to see if they push from here. But they were in a bad spot there. Karthus split pushing in bottom lane. They had to force a fight. They had to do something. They forced the fight. They got the win. They got Baron. Now controls over in their quarter.
Everybody headed back mid now after a quick Dragon pickup from Team Dynamic. They've started to get a little bit more control over the vision. With Baron down for a pretty good while now, they can have a little bit of comfort, and they're going to start pressuring mid-inner now and see if they can't just get things in. The ability to lane clear still really good with Aphromoo able to queue through. It doesn't matter as that mid-inner tower has been low for about the past 8 minutes or so. Zion Spartan just straight into the middle like a madman. He does manage to get himself clear with the ward coming down, and they turn that one around with some nice damage output there from Paradoxical especially. Just getting a lot of poison straight in the middle of that slow, enabling a lot of damage to go down from Team Dynamic with an insane initiate from Zion Zion Spartan.
That looked that looked completely suicidal, but he made it out of there, and they actually did win the fight. And right now, Dynamic's actually done enough damage that it looks like they're gonna force. MTW off this tower, and of course they do have Baron regen working in their favor, so it looks like they're gonna pick this one up.
Yeah, just continuing to keep Afromu out of range as he is the biggest threat at the moment. And mid inhibitor goes down without a fight after Zion Spartan does what would have killed a lesser man, and somehow he got clear. That was just crazy.
That was a manly Lee Sin play there, diving into 5 members of the enemy team and somehow coming out on top.
So, now out to an almost 10,000 gold lead. They make their move on the bottom inner turret. There's still turrets standing that they can take fairly easily with this Baron buff. Top inner still up as well. And they're going to move with a huge, huge minion wave right here. It looks like Karthus should be able to help out with that. Yeah, he's going to get most of that done off the wall there. It's going to start coming in now on the turret. Zig tanking out a good chunk of it. Now Afromu's rejoined the fight. TD still trying to pressure on this inhibitor turret as they want to get that. Not too worried about top inner. They can pick that up whenever they like. But good pressure out of TD here, and the seemingly unkillable Zion Spartan doing a good job making MTW think twice about any moves they try to make across.
The Dynamic doesn't have to rush this. They can slow push this tower. The other waves are all pushing in their favor. As long as they get a couple shots on the tower every wave, they're in great shape.
Yeah, and the time that they're going to buy, Smithy in catches the ult off of Paradoxical, and he's forced out the back. Lee Sin going to dive in and pick that one up. He starts getting focused, gets the double kill onto Karthus. Ult comes down. The Sivir Ghost is dead, and Afro, Moon, Muffin, Cutie, and Balls all going to be forced to leave the area as the Karthus ult can't take out anybody, and that spells pretty much the end of this tower right here. They're just going to take that one out straight on to Afro Moo. The rest of TD just going to give up that tower. They're like, we don't care, man. We want some more kills. They want to get Afro Moo off the field. They have wasted enough time here for MTW that their super minions are under the Nexus turrets, and they are chunking through those Nexus turrets super quick. Muffin Cutie in as the first Nexus turret goes down, blown up immediately, and it looks like this may be the end of the game here. Afro Moo taken out, can't quite get Paradoxical. Super minions take care of the second Nexus turret, and that's a 2-0 for Team Dynamic. Very, very nicely played right there. They almost gave it up a couple times through the middle with some rough team fights, but came back strong with a Zion Spartan out of nowhere, just being unkillable with some crazy dives.
Right, it looked like MTW was putting on a great show there. They won a couple fights right before Baron, but the one key Baron fight, and then just too much for Dynamic get to that. As soon as they grab that, they're just in control of the game, and they polish this one off for a 2-0 victory, moving on to the next round.